Did you ever have one of those nights?
Hey, where are we going? Doesn't matter. What counts is that you're my buddy.
My day didn't start off too well.
We be looking for ya.
Are we jumpy tonight?
And then it got worse.
We're here.
And then...
Gentlemen, I give you Katrina.
You're just what I'm looking for.
We made this movie in 1986, starring Grace Jones and Mr. Christopher Makepeace, who we all know from My Bodyguard and Meatballs. Chris Makepeace was terrific to work with. We got Getty Watanabe. He was from some of the John Hughes films. Long Duck Dong. He's like that in person, by the way. Oh, hello, lover. And Miss Dee Dee Pfeiffer is here with us tonight. Me some Dee Dee Pfeiffer. And we also have our writer-director, Mr. Richard Wenk, is here tonight. We'll bring him up. It's my turn. And just kidding. No, we want to answer any and all questions. And then again, I want to reintroduce our producer, Mr. Don P. Borchers, is here tonight. We shot the summer of '85, and I got a call from Richard. This is a funny story. They wanted me to read initially, and of course I was being hard to get. And then he said, well, let's just have a meeting. And I went to the address that my manager had given me to go meet Richard and talk with him about the film. And the closer I got to the address, the more familiar the neighborhood looked. And actually, the meeting took place in my old apartment, believe it or not. I mean, this was strange, right? No such thing as coincidence. So I walk up the stairs, the whole time I'm in a deja vu. And oddly enough, it's not only the building, but it's in actually my old apartment, which was above a silk screening company. You had to be there. And I walked in, I said hello to the lady up front, and I went back to meet Richard, and it was in my old bedroom. And I sat down, you remember Richard? Yep. I said, man, you're sitting where I used to sleep. I said, what? First thing I said, an actor meeting the director for a film. I said, no, my bed used to be right there. And he's just like, I think I made a big fucking mistake. And then as I explained, and we went on and we had a great time making this movie. We shot in and around all of downtown LA and shot in the interiors of Hollywood. And then we did some of the underground scene in Culver City. It was a blast. It was a great movie. I had a really good time working with Grace. I have about 900 stories for that. But, you know, I'll just answer them as we go along. No, I didn't have sex with her. Well, at least that's what I tell Doug.
And I like you. I can see you like me too.
As I recall, there was a lot of, was a big run of horror movies at the time.
Alien. Was it Alien came out right with me?
Yeah, Alien came out, but
which was a really funny movie.
The Howling and things like that. And I think that the actual premise that Don had come up with, which was basically his pitch to me was, I want to move. I think he had the whole title and everything. Poster and everything before the movie. And if you can come up with something with strippers, college kids, and vampires, you can direct it. So basically, you have that premise, it's kind of, you know, basically lends itself to a little wink and a nod. And I think it also went against the grain at the time of all the straight horror movies that were coming out. There's just so many of them. So the idea was sort of, it's hard to take it seriously all the way through. And it was more realistic actually to be, if you're really in a strip club with vampires, it's kind of funny. So I think it's just your sensibility, just go with your job. And you have guys that were talented, that could do both. You know, that Robert and Chris, Dee Dee, Getty, they all really were really versatile actors, and they could really play moments.
Sandy Barron.
And Sandy Barron and all the people. And the funniest one was Grace. She was, you know, I don't know why she never did stand up.
Yeah.
She would have killed it. You should hear her.
After every joke.
Well, I guess Vegas is out.
She brought everybody with her. These were all her people that she worked with, that she was comfortable with. And she had her own sort of vision. The story I tell, and I'm still having nightmares about this. If you want a little trivia, you watch her wig that she's wearing get shorter and shorter as the number goes on, because after every take, hairs would fall into place, and instead of fixing them, they just cut them. Continuity was not a big thing with her people. But the original scene that was written before she was cast was one of the most erotic, sensual, sexy dances that would just ignite the men in the room. And Grace really had her own choreographer and people, and I wasn't allowed to see it until I saw it. And when I saw it, it was nothing like it was written, nor was the reaction that was the standing ovation of the number, which you couldn't really have with that. So we had to improvise on the set in order to incorporate her artistic ideas, which we all did.
And when we first saw the number, everybody actually went like this. So Richard, of course, goes to all the extras in the audience and goes, and he didn't have to tell them, because they were just blown away. They couldn't believe what they were seeing to begin with. None of us could. It was pretty wild.
Yeah. You'll notice near the end there's a before they start the club on fire, there's some vampire bartenders back there, and one of the bartenders became an Academy Award-winning production designer who decided, while standing on the set and watching the set being built and lit and everything, decided that she wanted to be a production designer. We went on to win an Academy Award for American Beauty and Training Day, and I just finished a movie with her with Denzel Washington. So there's you can watch that woman realize that her career is going another way. She's not going to be a stripper vampire.
And then, interestingly enough, while we started in the pre-production process of making the film, and Grace came aboard, she started to bring on Keith Haring, who was a very famous artist. May he rest in peace, to do her body makeup, and then she had Andy Warhol do designs and production designs, and giving her ideas for her little lair, and then Richard Avedon and other artists like that were coming on board and lending their ideas and artistic input into the look and the design and some of the ideas, and which kind of actually coincides. I was going to add to what Richard was saying earlier about the comedy horror mix, and that same idea with the look of the film and how we were all coming together as a team. Not so much the actors in that way, but they were definitely open to our input, which was a fantastic opportunity for young actors. Like when Dee Dee and I went, I think Dee Dee was 21, I was about 20. Well, I don't want to give it away too much, but anyway.
I'm older than you, honey. It's okay.
And what was happening was this sort of team effort, and I just did, my first film was Weird Science, so I got to work with John Hughes. And John Hughes was like a little kid in a man's body, and he would always get really excited about scenes. And that's what it was like working with Richard, because Richard always wanted to listen, and he had a vision, and he had an idea how to mix that comedy and that horror genre together, because comedy and drama one and the same in a lot of respects.
Well, he looked dead anyway.
He looks real dead to me.
It was in the garbage that...
Your friend here apparently likes to flash his money around. In this neighborhood, that makes him a meal ticket.
Hey, tell me about it. I am a meal ticket. I should know.
But every time that we would talk about ideas, and Chris Makepeace too, who was a super funny guy, very dry wit and very dry sense of humor, and him and Richard would collaborate on ideas, and they'd bring us in, and then he would just say, try it. And then we would try one, he'd go, all right, and he'd get some ideas from that, and he'd say, okay, try it this way. So a lot of it was kind of trial and error, but with a nice blueprint to begin with. We weren't just going raw and wild. He knew what he wanted to do in the beginning, but then there was a little bit of kind of a coincision with input as we were shooting, and I think that's how we got that good flavor mix.
I'm Amaretto, not really. And I will be your waitress for this evening, guys. So what can I get for you, huh?
I would like a slow, comfortable screw, a beer, and one for my buddy for a week.
The relationships were very much in the script. Yet, like you were saying, Richard's way of directing completely pulled out our wanting to get to know each other and work together and feed off each other's humor. Like, what was it you guys kept doing? We were like, yeah, that's it. Yeah, we're gonna finish the season.
That's the idea.
Howard Mandel, or you guys were like, all doing that all day. I'm like, what are you doing? What is that? And then I started doing it, and what I was doing. But we just found each other's energies and passion for this film. We really loved doing this film, Richard, everybody, Dawn. We had a great cast, a great crew. And Amaretto, my character, I was really lucky because she was so special in the sense that she was just this helpless, hopeless romantic. She just loved love. And she was in this club. There was vampires and buildings falling down and burning up. And she was going, marry me, we played some bottle. And there's vampires running around. And they're like, oh, let's go. And she's like this effervescent kind of youth and this young, little childlike quality about her. And the fact her name was Amaretto. It's just, I mean, come on. She didn't probably know what Amaretto was. If you think about it. It's a drink, you're serving it, which is not a clue. And yet the club is very dark and dirty, but yet really sexy and sensual because it's vampires.
All I want to do is find AJ and get back to school.
AJ? Not Mr. Dynamite. You guys still hanging out? I knew it. Yep. Come on. I bet you he'll remember me.
My very first starring role, by the way. So Vamp is my first baby. I have 2 children now. Those are my other babies. Vamp is my baby because Amaretto is my first starring role, and I took it very seriously to the point I lost how much weight throughout the film. Like, I kept losing weight every day. Like, I just, my board was falling off of me because it meant so much to me to give Richard and Dawn and A New World and everybody and all of my co-stars everything I had, because that's huge, you know. And we had a lot of crazy stuff going on.
Yeah, I was losing weight too because I was doing cocaine.
I'm not going to comment on that. My dinner was at 5 in the morning. We shot at night. And my car was stolen off the set, sidewalks were caving in, homeless people, we all got sick at the hospital. It was the craziest. The making of Vamp was the movie. It's shocking that this movie actually got finished, right? The making was just nuts. Because Grace's way keeping me shorter and shorter, and my border falling off of me, and right?
And I was super excited because Dee Dee and I had already done another little movie with John Stockwell called Dangerously Close. So I had met Dee Dee, and we were not friends yet, but we were good acquaintances from that movie.
Yeah.
So when I went on to do Vamp, and I knew that Dee Dee was going to play Amaretto, I was super excited because I knew that her energy was fantastic. So she used to speak a mile a minute. Like, you think she's fast now? She was like this. Oh,
Yes.
man. And then that energy went into the character.
Just a little.
I mean, the club's not a permanent stop or anything, if that's what you think. I mean, it's easy to get, it's loose, I get to express myself, and that is really important because I'm still trying to find my purpose in life. You know what I mean? God knows I've looked.
The main thing is that Richard and Donald and Dee Dee and I are really grateful that you're here, and we hope you enjoy the show. Please enjoy 1986's Vamp.